In terms of how to support the movement, there is a petition that people can sign who are dedicated to eradicating hair discrimination, and that's thecrownact.com. You can go and sign that petition. But in addition, please contact your state legislators. That's whether you have an assembly or a house and a senator, so there are two chambers in the state legislature, but also your representative in Congress. And that's both the House of Representatives and as well as the Senate. Contact your lawmakers and let them know that you want them to support outlawing hair discrimination. That, and again, to continue having these conversations that are necessary, that we've been having for so long, that even predates the Crown Act coming about. Again, it was created out of necessity. Continuing to have these conversations, continuing to push the needle, push forward, as well as continuing to shift the culture. So again, contact your lawmakers, state level, as well as those that represent you in Congress. Sign the petition, share that, and then of course reach out to me if you want to get involved in terms of working on the day-to-day. And I need to acknowledge, because the erasure of Black women in their work happens too frequently, I just want to acknowledge the sisters who have been working on this since day one. I'm here just as a representative of the community and the team. So that is Kelly and Orlina. And we have, and people weren't talking about this issue. So this has been a very long-standing problematic practice, hair discrimination has been. So shout out to Marcy Polanco, who has been doing wonders on the PR side, ensuring that, people are carrying the story, talking about the work. Melanie, who's a creative genius, where we are working to shift, sort of the whole narrative about what constitutes beauty. When you see those beautiful images of Black sisters with afros and braids, that is Melanie. And then AC is a powerhouse who's leveraging where she sits to move this needle forward. So there's a very small but mighty sister squad who has been working on this since day one, and I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge them. So again, contact your legislators, both at the and also at the local level. It's been passed in several municipalities. One of my sorors, Shanette out in Ohio, just passed it recently at the local level. So contact your elected officials. They work for you until you decide they don't, and make sure that they know where you stand, not just on this issue, but others.
Thank you for that. And we've posted thecrownact.com, and but you'll be able to come back to the show and see all of the information. So make sure you follow up with action, because a lot of times we have conversations, but conversations are just the beginning of it. Here, we like to talk about solutions and forward motion and action, because if not, then we're just spewing rhetoric like everybody else. And we need to be proactive about the mishandling of Black and brown bodies. And that is this is all connected to that. Always, trying to cut somebody's dreadlocks off. The fact that you think you can put your hands on our bodies is part of the toxicity and problems that we deal with in this country and across the world, with white people trying to manage Black and brown bodies, and our hair is part of that problem.
The acronym is again, create a respectful and open world for natural hair, that protective styles are also included. So if you decide and that's including if you want to put a weave in your hair. Again, this is about protecting the right to rock our crowns however we see fit. So I'm natural, but I decided to blow it out, and that is perfectly okay. And I reserve the right to do that. If I want to wear Senegalese twist, next week, I'll do that too. This is really about ensuring that we are not discriminated against for our hair. So I want to make sure that I added that piece. You talked about the, sort of anti-Blackness that is within, sort of the Latino community. And the African Holocaust did a number on not just, our folks who are in this hemisphere, but also on the continent. I shared that by the time I was 9, I had gone to the birthplace of my father, which is Ghana. Anti-Blackness can be internalized by Black people as well. So again, colonization really did a number on us. So while race may be a social construct, and we acknowledge that there is no biological basis for race, racism is still very real.
Look, you just took a chunk out of my soul and gave it to everybody just now, because when we have this conversation about anti-Blackness, it is not an issue that only exists on people who are non-Black. It exists within the Black community, which is why I always bring up school days. Like you hear the colorism. It is not, it exists in India. It exists in China. It exists in Africa. It exists in Australia. And it's because, colonization was global. And so racism is a global disease. It is not something that is exclusive to the United States of America. So I appreciate you saying that. What I wanted to say was that, it's so it seems so ridiculous to hear that there has to be a natural hair movement, that there has to be a Crown Act where white women are able to just do whatever they want with their hair, and there is never there's no that it is not a political issue. They can just exist in a space, and that is what we call privilege. Whereas we have to have conversations, dialogue, create laws, write books, create products to address the reality of what it is to be a person who is of color in this country. Whereas, for example, those of us who are Afro-Indigenous, right? And we grew up wearing our hair braided because that was our Taino roots. And teachers at school would say, unbraid your hair, put your hair in a ponytail. Like it's everything that we do. And so the fact that this has to be a movement is so indicative of how many problems we're having, and I'm glad that we have these conversations now, because before they couldn't. And Mahisha, they glamorize this mixed look because it is closer to white hair, and then they have products to glorify that, but it leaves Black people who have a different type of texture of hair out of that narrative, and that is erasure